Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host Raghunath and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam, the essence of Vedic scriptures. Good morning, Kaustubha. I'm back at the farm. We got in last night. I got some cool verses for you glorifying the Bhagavatam. Can I share them with you?
Why not?
All right, check this out. When you read these verses, you get excited to read the Bhagavatam. And we're going to start first with this. This is from the fourth canto. The material miseries of the soul, right? The entrapped soul, the living entity, which are superfluous to him, can be directly
mitigated.
Ooh, go you, go. No one say it.
By the linking process? Is it something like that?
Yep. By the linking process of Bhakti-yoga, devotional service.
Yeah.
But the mass of people do not know this. And therefore, the learned
sage
Vyasadeva
compiled this Vedic literature.
Which is in relationship to the supreme truth.
There you go.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. Read it without me interrupting you.
That's fun. The material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him. Our pain is superfluousness. Isn't that amazing? Like we can't actually be hurt. It's only when you allow yourself to be hurt can you be hurt.
What an important point. Superfluous.
I'm speaking in 4-letter syllables.
Nice try.
Good morning. 4-syllable words today. The material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by the linking process of Bhakti-yoga. But the mass of people do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadeva compiled this Vedic literature, which is in relationship to the supreme truth. Wait, there's more.
Yeah.
Here's
something
one
about how people can benefit from it or something like that.
Well, first of all, do you know this one? Krishne sva dhammopagate.
Yeah.
Dharma Kinadibi Saha Kalo Nasto Drishamesha Puranarko Dunodita. This Bhagavat Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna. So that's when this book was compiled, right after Krishna left the planet. What else disappeared when Krishna left? Dharma, knowledge, etc. Dharma and knowledge disappeared when Krishna disappeared. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance, check, in this age of Kali, shall get light from this Purana. Isn't that beautiful?
Love it.
But there's more. Wait. Check this out. This is one of my favorite. I'm going to do the Sanskrit because it's so damn pretty.
Okay.
Dharma projita kaitavotra paramoni matsaranam sitam Vedyam vastavam atravastu shivanam tapatrayan mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Kritikim Mahamuni Kriti Kimbai Parar Ishvaraha Sadhya Hridyana Varudya Tetra Kriti Bi Sushubris Tatshanat completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. I love this. People do religion for things. Huh? People do religion for stuff. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. This Bhagavad Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure at heart. And what is the highest truth, you might ask? The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. Like we just said, all our pain is superfluous to us. Mm-hmm. So when is it not superfluous to us? When I'm entrenched in the threefold miseries. So such truth uproots the threefold miseries.
That's a really important, term there too. It says unmulanam.
Unmulanam.
Mula means the roots.
The roots, right?
But just like when you have like a weed, if you just kind of pull it off at the top, it just grows right back.
Sure.
But if you pull it out at the roots, it doesn't grow back. And so similarly here, it's important that by what's taught in the Bhagavatam, which is unadulterated bhakti, right? That it's uprooting the threefold miseries in such a way that they don't come back. Right? You can address your miseries in different ways, cover them up,
mask them,
mask them.
Medicate them.
Yeah. You can, it's kind of like really, I'm kind of seeing it everywhere, but, my wife brought this up today. Not that it was a new idea or anything like that, but, like our culture is very much set on like finding let's find the cure.
Find the cure. We say that
because we
the
don't
hashtag.
Have,
I think
because we don't have like the self-discipline or the insight or the wisdom to deal with the cause. Right. It's a wise.
How about
way.
that one? Find the cause.
Find the cause. Yeah.
Mara, find the cause. Find the cause.
So when you deal with bhakti, it deals with the very cause of your problems, the cause of the miseries, and directly counters them. So it uproots the threefold miseries.
Mitigates, uproots. Okay, finish. Such truth
this
uproots
beautiful
the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, right, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of the Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord established within us okay, let me just read this again because it's so important. And I sort of blew it. As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of the Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within the heart.
Beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? And I tell you, Kaustubha, it really changes me. Yeah, I'm totally changed by this program of hearing the Bhagavatam every day. I admit it. I've had that Bhagavatam on the shelf for many years, read it cover to cover, but then put it down and never picked it up or just, skimmed through it. This commitment we made starting about 2 years ago of reading every day, hearing it every day. That's how you're supposed to read the Bhagavatam.
Game changer.
It's not like I got initiated. Now it's like game over. I don't have to read the books. I got this. I know this. We never got it. We're always hearing on a regular basis, and it's directing us. I see it in my own life. I see it changing the way I behave according to certain situations. There are a lot of default situations programmed in the Raghunath machine that were not good. And hearing from the Bhagavatam every day says, okay, you want to act this way. Don't go there anymore. There's a new way to react to that. I just had a nice a person call me, a Zoomer. I'm not going to mention who, but they're here right now.
Anonymous Zoomer?
Anonymous Zoomer who's here right now. And it's on this page. No, just kidding. Anyway, they were just saying, they went through some upheaval in their life with the person, and they just cut the person out of their life. They said, normally I would just be with this person and I would be hurt. And I repeatedly allow myself to hurt. Now I just cut it, forgave them, but will not invite them back into my life. The guy was like, forgive me. Oh, you're forgiven. You're just not coming back in my life. I completely forgive you. I get it. You have a horrible weakness that's going to ruin your life, but you're out. And she was like, that is like tens of thousands thousands of dollars worth of therapy. And I was like, you owe me. Give me a kickback of that therapy. No, we owe the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam is our therapist because it's getting to the root of the disease and not just masking it. Anyway, I hope you like that today.
No, thank you.
The
That's the
glorification
second
of the
verse of the
Bhagavatam.
Bhagavatam, that last one that you just read. It helps us understand the nature of it. You know, that it's written by Vyasa in his maturity, meaning that this is where he revealed everything. This is where, you know, the previous books like the Vedas, the Upanishads, they weren't revealing everything. It's when you get to the Bhagavatam, which is considered the commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, which is a summary of the Vedas and the Upanishads, that it all becomes clear. It's all laid out here.
And if you study those other books, you'll find out that they fit into the vantage point of the Bhagavatam. Why? It's like right now I'm looking at my computer. Zoom out from here, and I'm looking above my computer, and I can see the whole room. Zoom out from there, I can see the top of my house. Zoom out from there, I can see my village where I live in. Zoom out from there, I see the state, right? You ever zoom out on maps, just zooming
I've done
out?
that before, yes.
Yeah, you've seen that, right? Then you see the globe. Then you see the universe, right? And then there's my house, and you zoom back in. So Bhagavatam, it's not like you don't understand the impersonal ideas of God. It's not like you don't understand the avatars. It's not like you don't understand who Jesus is and how Jesus fits into the picture. It's not you don't understand mysticism. You understand it all, but you understand it from that very, very zoomed out vantage point. The mature Vyasadeva, who gets it all. He's fully zoomed out, and then he zooms right back in and gives you the essence of it all. Sweet Baby Krishna, which by the way, we start Sweet Baby Krishna. We're going to do Sweet Baby Krishna Wednesday and Thursday tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. Wednesday and Thursday, so not tonight.
Not tonight. Not tonight. Right? Today's Tuesday.
That's correct. Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah. While we're making announcements, there's some new announcements to make for the Bhakti Recovery Group, and we have Jiva here to help us with that. I'm asking to unmute you, Jiva.
Unmute Jiva.
There we go.
I'm unmuted.
Okay.
Jiva, welcome. We love what you guys are doing.
No, thank you so much. Has nothing to do with me. That's all Krishna's mercy, for sure.
It's our Bhakti Recovery Group. If you're new to it, it's like a 12-step program where the higher power gets personality. And it just really goes hand in hand to everything the Bhagavatam is teaching. We're not in control. We got to... what else? How can you would say it better than I am. Anyway, Jiva, just tell us what's happening.
Okay, I'll tell you what's happening. First of all, hello everybody. Good morning. Please accept my respects. Okay, so those of you who have been to our meetings and who haven't gotten the info, we have now one link to all meetings, except for the German meetings. The German-speaking meetings, we have a separate link. This will go up soon on the Wisdom of the Sages website. So that'll come as soon as it's able to be posted.
What's the link? What's the link?
I don't know. Nancy, do you want to share it? Can you share the link? Do you know how to do that?
Is it a top secret link? There's a new link for all the websites, but
well, it's probably not like it's probably a
hey,
long.
Mara shared it already. Mara shared it. It's in the chat. Thanks, Mara.
Should we say it?
Oh.
Yeah, that's the one link. There's no password. Sometimes some people need a password. It's BRG then, like in big letters, capital BRG. And this is for every meeting. We have like Tuesday, 2 meetings a day. Every day there's a meeting, 2 meetings on Tuesday, a men's and a women's meeting. Now we have 2 meetings on Friday. So the new meeting, I'd also like to announce, Karunya, the beautiful Karunya, who is a disciple of Vaisheshika. She lives on the West Coast, and a lot of the West Coasters have a problem. I think you guys know this too, Wisdom of the Sages.
Californians.
Yeah, it's just too, it's too early. So so Karunya and Mike, who's another great devotee from LA, skater guy, they're doing a West Coast meeting, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time.
Great.
On Friday. For the Calis and for everyone on the other coast. Yeah, so that's about it.
I'm going to speak that. Is that okay? tinyurl.com/capital BRGZ and then small OOM. BRGZ and a small OOM.
Exactly. So
This is great. Congratulations and thank you. It's like an unbelievable service you're doing.
Well,
Jiva.
I'm not doing it alone. So we can thank Nancy, we can thank Karunya, we can thank Henrik. There's so many people who are just helping out and supporting. And you guys, of course, have just, opened the door to, I was walking forward anyway, but you guys have just opened the door and laid out a carpet. So thank you so much.
This is thanks, Jiva. Kaustubha, this is still, I just want to address and appreciate all the people that are out there. They're getting into the Bhagavatam and they're struggling with alcohol. They're struggling with letting go because it's become such a deep part of, maybe not even they recognize it as addiction, but it's almost like a deep part of their persona. Or even meat eating. People have been writing me a lot too. Meat eating is still a struggle with people. And I just want to appreciate that struggle that you're going through. And there's no 12-step meeting for meat eating right now. But
well, actually, we do lots of eating disorders, and people come also struggle with meat eating. We talk about everything. We talk about everything, and especially to devotees or to newcomer devotees. We even have people who are not Krishna worshipers, but who are just Krishna empathy people who just love Krishna people, and they come and, we have so many different people come and just getting help in that way. And it's just so amazing. It makes it so practical. It takes the Bhagavatam and makes it practical in our daily lives. It really
That's beautiful.
does. Yeah.
But it's a real thing. It's a real thing. So our heart goes out to everybody about all those things that we struggle with. If you keep moving forward, slowly Krishna is going to dismantle those things. If you hear the Bhagavatam on a regular basis, eventually these things, you start letting go of them. Krishna gives you that ability to let go of it, these things that we are attached to. And it's normal that we're attached to. We've been living in Maya for lifetimes, if not at least this lifetime, right? Lifetimes of attachments. All righty.
All right. So I just want to
By
say
the way,
welcome anyone to come. Really welcome to anyone who's struggling. Please come to our meetings. We offer a very safe, anonymous place for devotees who do not feel comfortable in the temple, or for just regular 12-step people who just, would like to explore bhakti. So that's it. We're here. Thanks so much, you guys, for everything. I'll mute myself now. Thanks.
Thank you.
Haribol.
Hey, by the way, I just want to give a shout out to Pittsburgh people. I'm going to be in Beaver, PA at Andrea. She's one of our others and Zoomers at Sangha Center this Saturday or this Sunday. And I'm going to be at Zeb's studio, which I'm looking forward to. Yoga Factory in Pittsburgh this weekend as well. So Pittsburgh people in the house. See you this weekend. It's another Raghu and Justin road trip. All right.
We ready?
Yeah. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksuran Midatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers have opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus-like feet. So we're reading a new chapter, Kaustubha ji.
That's right.
The pregnancy of Diti in the evening, not a good time to get pregnant.
It was not a good time.
It's not a good time. You got to check this out. Yeah. It's not a good time to get conceived, right?
Well, in this case, it wasn't. Yeah.
No, I think it's any time. It's one of those
astrological
no-nos.
Well, I think at this particular moment in the evening, yeah.
Okay. I think we got to get some astrologers backing this one up. Also, I think birth in the evening. What do you think about that? I think
I'm not for it, against it.
You're against it, I know. Imagine tell your wife, just hold it till the sun rises.
But so this is in chapter 14 of the third canto. Now we start a new chapter, and all of this is connected because we had Vidura asking Maitreya about creation.
Yeah.
And then he spoke about how Brahma creates. And all that went into it, all the meditation that went into it, and all the concern that went into it, all the struggles that he went through. We had we've been following chapters, that have been covering this. And then in the previous chapter, we read about how he kind of hit a bit of a speed bump, I suppose, in terms of creation, wherein the earth was lying down in the kind of universal ocean, and he couldn't figure out how to get the earth out. And without any effort on his own, Brahma, from his breath came this incarnation, this avatar of Vishnu, in the form of a boar of all things.
I like how you're changing the narrative. From his nose came an avatar. From his breath. From his
breath.
Yeah.
It sounds a little easier to swallow.
Better,
right?
better. It sounds better. It's a prettier picture.
Do we have to do everything here at Wisdom of the Sages? Do we have to work everything?
We have to rewrite the
Bhagavatam.
Come on.
Don't say no. Don't say nostril. Say breath. Okay. And so from his breath comes this boar. But in the telling of that story, Maitreya mentions that boar also fought a demon, right, named Hiranyaksha. So now Vidura is going to want to know, well, tell me more about that. Who's that Hiranyaksha? Where did he come from? Okay, we got to go back a little bit, and we're going to hear about his mother and father and how that demon was born. And, you can read this chapter in different ways. It's like, in one sense, what's going to happen is that you have the sage Kasyapa, who's also a progenitor, right? Like, these are still these very early universal beings who have, like, this responsibility to, like, create progeny on a very large scale. And so, things will sound a little weird here. Kasyapa Muni, who's going to be the father here, he's got 13 wives, right? And he's got, like, and those wives are all the daughters of Daksha, who's, like, literally the big-time progenitor, right? And so all of his 13 of his daughters marry Kasyapa. He's got more. This is Arranged Marriage Tuesday, after all. Right?
Yeah.
So 13 of them marry Kasyapa, and she's going to say she's going to approach him, saying, "Hey, I'm ready," like for sex, and she's going to give different reasons why she wants it, and she wants it now, and he's going to be saying that astrologically the time is inauspicious, right? It could lead to something that's inauspicious. And so we can get caught up in that, and certainly, like there's, the astrology and insights into it can be helpful in life. But really, Bhagavatam's not going to get us too caught up in that. There's other messages that are going to come through here, messages that have to do with, the way I see it is it's most essentially, it's about, like, when I choose, I'll either be controlled by my senses or I will choose to control them.
Nice.
And when I'm controlled by my senses, which often in our materialistic ignorance we see that as freedom, right? But when I become controlled by my senses, it brings about inauspiciousness. And when I learn to control my senses, it can bring about auspiciousness. And to me, that's more the essential message that's coming through this chapter. It's given in the context of astrology and, demons being born and so on. But to me, that's like the more essential message. And we'll hear about that in this chapter.
The freedom of being uncontrolled? No. It doesn't work. To the degree that I'm uncontrolled, you're not free. It's like driving down the road.
Who we're controlled by, right?
Yeah, it's like driving down the road. You think you're free because you can drive recklessly on the road. First of all, driving reckless takes away your freedom. Second of all, it takes away the freedom of everybody else. That's the problem with being reckless. So we either have a little bit of discipline, which enhances our freedom, or we have that, which is a little painful. Sometimes I can't do everything I want, everything my senses want. Or you have this freedom of, or you have this a little pain of discipline, or we have that little pain of regret. Right? What was I thinking? Why did I do that? Where was my head at? The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And that comes with our so-called freedom of no sense control. We've taken it back, Kaustubha. We've taken back the reign of the senses. We find our real freedom.
Take the power back.
Take the power back.
All right. So, and it's gonna play. It's again, if we just look at the externals, it seems a little weird and everything. But what's happening is like Diti, who's one of the wives of Kaustubha, is like, I want it right now, right? And he's gonna say, just hold on a few minutes, because it's an inauspicious time, and he's gonna tell why, and even that can sound weird and everything like that. But we'll set those things aside for now. But he's gonna say, you just need to wait, right?
And she's like, no.
And she's like, no, and here's my reasons, 1, 2, and 3. And they're all kind of like, these are the kind of things that motivate us in life, might motivate our decision-making. It has to do with, one is just lust, but another has to do with jealousy or one's own lack of self-esteem and comparison with others. And another one has to do with like desire for fame or desire for, how others see us. We make decisions based on these things. They can be inauspicious decisions. And so Kaustubha is going to say, like, don't be controlled by that. Just control your senses right now. There are ways that one can address even one's, like the whole yogic, all the yogic literature and culture and tradition. It's not full on demanding in the sense that it's going to say, throw it all, like be celibate, throw it all out the window. It's going to give ways that you can address your material desires, but that's going to require some sense of self-control, and that self-control is going to give you strength. It's like you start to get stronger again, you start to regain your freedom. She's going to be like, no, forget it, I'm not, and he's going to give in, and then the result will be inauspicious, which will manifest in a huge, universally powerful demon being born. Like that's how it'll play. Just so it'll be clear. He's going to cause a lot of trouble.
Just to be clear, you having sex at this time of day is going to cause a universal demon. Thank you, Kaustubha. I can't wait to dive into this chapter. Ready?
All right.
Inappropriate sex causing universal demons. Ready? Here we go. Text 1. Sukadeva Goswami said, after hearing from the great sage Maitreya about the Lord's incarnation as Varaha,
the boar,
Vidura, who has taken a vow, begged him with folded hands to please narrate further transcendental activities of the Lord, since he, Vidura, did not yet feel satisfied.
He just wanted more.
Just give me some more. Sri Vidura said, O chief amongst the great sages, I have heard by disciplic succession that Hiranyaksha, the original demon, was slain by the same form of sacrifice as the personality of Godhead. What is the reason, O Brahmana, for the fight between this demon king and Lord Boar, while the Lord was lifting the earth planet as his pastime? My mind has become very inquisitive, and therefore I'm not satisfied with hearing the narration of the Lord's appearance. Please, therefore, speak more and more to a devotee who is faithful. The great sage Maitreya said, O warrior, the inquiry made by you is just befitting a devotee, because it concerns the incarnation of the personality of Godhead. He, the Lord, is the source of liberation from the chain of birth and death for all those who are otherwise destined to die. By hearing these topics from the sage Narada, the king Uttanapad, the son of the king Uttanapad, or Dhruva, was enlightened regarding the personality of Godhead. So he's giving some other reference in the past, how this this young boy was liberated by Narada. So he's saying by hearing the topics of the sage Narada, this is how this young boy Dhruva was liberated. He was enlightened regarding the personality of Godhead as he ascended to the abode of the Lord, placing his feet over the head of death. They're speaking about how to transcend death here.
Yeah, it's this is referring to a story that's going to come up later on in the fourth canto, and it's one of the real important, often cited pastimes or passages in the Bhagavatam about this boy Dhruva, who's just a little boy but like super powerful yogi, and his father, whose name is Uttanapad. But it's saying that by hearing these topics from the sage Narada, what topics? The exact topics that we're going to speak about, right? Like the Hiranyaksha and how he's defeated by Varaha and how he was born. What I'm going to tell you right now, this was shared by Narada to Dhruva, who was only a boy at the time. And simply by hearing this, the result of this knowledge was that his liberation, and is expressed here by that he ascended to the abode of the Lord, placing his feet over the head of death. And we'll hear that narration, like it's described that way, that when he transcends this world, in order to step up on that transcendental vehicle, right, that plane that would take him out, he stepped on the head of death, which is something that, like, we speak of, what do they say? Two things are for sure, right? Two things are certain.
Taxes and death.
Yeah, death and taxes, right? So
yeah,
it appears that death is something that's insurmountable, but it's saying it is surmountable, and that's done through hearing, right? Just by bringing in the right sound, contemplating it, reflecting on it, one can transcend death. Dhruva's the proof. He was just a boy, right?
Yeah.
But it worked for him. Okay.
All right. Dipping back in.
The history of the
text
fight.
7. The history of the fight between the Lord as a boar and the demon Hiranyaksha was heard by me in a year long ago. Was heard by me in a year long ago, as it was described by the foremost of demigods.
Long ago.
Oh, in a year. In a year long ago. In a year long ago. Commas. We need commas. As it was described by the foremost of the demigods, Brahma, when he was questioned by the other demigods.
So everybody's talking about this.
Everyone's talking,
right?
Just like we are. Just like we are.
That we're part of it now. Right?
We're part of the conversation. The conversation continues.
It's really, you hear that, and it can kind of, if you just approach it on the superficial, if you have faith, though, if you have faith, you do realize, whoa, there's this thread that's running throughout history of transcendental knowledge.
A transcendental Q&A has been going on forever, and that's why we can hear these verses that say things like, this Bhagavatam is as beautiful as the sun. It's like, wait a second, this is the Bhagavatam speaking about the Bhagavatam. How can that happen? Because the Bhagavatam is an eternal conversation. We're continuing it now. It's happening right in front of our face. Mara asks a question, Kaustubha gives an answer, boom, Q&A day. It's a right. It's a continuation, and it goes back. It doesn't start with Maitreya and Vidura. It goes back before that. It doesn't start with Sutta Goswami and the sages at Sharanya. It goes before that, and like that forever.
Right. And our tendency is that our mind becomes attracted to topics that don't. Just the fact that this, you look at literature, right? And certain literature has standed the test, has withstood the test of time, right?
Like what?
Like take Shakespeare's works, for instance.
Okay,
right?
Shakespeare.
They're that work for you?
Yeah.
It's obviously a very high quality writing literature. So it sticks around. People are still reading and people are still talking about it. But our tendency is to get kind of caught up in just common trash that just comes and goes quickly, like gossip and, news that's very time bound, is here 1 minute and is gone the next minute. And we absorb our hours in that. But if we look at what's just been said, Maitreya is speaking to Vidura, He's saying this same conversation was had between Narada and Dhruva, and it was also spoken by Lord Brahma to the Devas. The people on the higher planets are hearing about this. The people that have transcended death have spoken about this. Narada, that sage who's the personification of pure bhakti, he's speaking this. We're seeing how people these very same stories have withstood the test of time way beyond Shakespeare. I mean, Shakespeare's, going back to Shakespeare is not very far. When it's almost nothing. It's a blink compared to going back to Brahma in the Devas, or Narada speaking to Dhruva and so on. These are the stories themselves are not bound by time. They're transcendental. They exist forever. And wise people, their minds have been attracted to these stories. They recognize that the results of hearing these stories and contemplating them is so beneficial. So they're continuing to be handed down. And when I choose, rather than to plug into something else and to plug into this, then I've entered into that. I've also become part of that chain. I'm part of something that's gone on forever, and will continue to go on forever, because it's so real and it's so beneficial. So, I guess this is part of why Maitreya is saying this. Hey, what you're asking me right now, get it, Vidur. You've now become part of something that's been going on forever. And he's enthusiastic about it. He's saying you're asking the right questions.
All right, here we go again. Okay.
Text 8.
Text 8. Diti, the daughter of Daksha. So remember Daksha, he was the one who got a goat head. Remember that one? Remember that story? How can you forget that? How can you forget the story? Where the guy got his head cut off and then replaced with the head of a goat. Okay. So Diti, the daughter of Daksha. I wonder if she was conceived after he had the goat head.
You always worry about
it. We note that? Well, someone's got to walk around with him.
My guess is it was probably before.
Imagine being the wife of Daksha. Like, got to conceive with this goat man. Well, maybe they had the baby before.
I believe so. I mean, he had Sati obviously before. I think he had all of his daughters before that.
Okay, that's not so bad. I mean, he's a very elegant, sophisticated man.
He is.
Except that he has a head of a goat.
Yeah.
Diti, daughter of Daksha, being afflicted with sex desire, begged her husband, Kashyapa, the son of Marichi. So Kashyapa is, he's a progenitor, but he's one of these sons of the Sapta Rishis, Marichi, the 6 sages.
He's the son of Brahma.
He's the son of Brahma. So Kashyapa, who's the son. So these were, like Kaustubha was saying, we're in the early parts of these progenitors of the universe, beginning characters of the universe. So Diti is asking her husband, hey, let's have sex with her in the evening in order to beget a child. The sun was setting and the sage was sitting in trance after offering oblations to the personality of Godhead Vishnu, whose tongue is the sacrificial fire. That's what I think.
Okay. So by that, it means his tongue is the sacrificial fire, is that grains and ghee ritualistically are offered into the fire, which is seen as offering them to Lord Vishnu.
To the mouth of Lord Vishnu.
Yeah, so the fire is like his tongue. He's tasting it that way. But, this is important. So what we have here is Diti is approaching her husband at a moment, which is, these are called the sandhya, right? Like the times in between, like the time between morning and day, like just right at the sunrise. That's a sandhya, a meeting, right?
Yeah.
The meeting of the morning with the night. Yeah. And then there's also the sandhya, the noon is called the sandhya, the meaning of the beginning of the day to the end of the day. And also evening is the sandhya, from the end of the day moving into the night again. And in those times, those are considered auspicious. And they're times commonly where, particularly brahmanas, will use those times to meditate. And so Kashyapa is engaged in meditation at that time, and disregarding the sacredness of that time. Right. In other words, again, this goes back to some stuff we were talking about like last week. And in a sense, the Vedas are like the manual, right? The manual of how to live. And so Kashyapa is living according to that manual. Let me set aside, according to the Vedic direction, let me set aside this time of the day to use it to focus my mind on God. And Diti's coming up and saying, let's throw the manual out. Like, I don't care about the manual. It's like, no, you got to follow. Just like sometimes, people are like, they go and they buy something from Ikea or something like that, and it's got a manual, like how to put the thing together. And so it's like, I don't need that, right?
That's me. I'll put it together. I got this.
Yeah, right. And then before long, you're kind of stuck, and you realize
thousands of extra screws. Wait a second here.
Yeah. So you realize, oh, I should, and now you're kind of stuck. You did something and it's hard to undo or something like that. That's what's going to happen to Diti here. She's like, let's throw out the manual. He's like, Kashyap is like, let's follow the manual here, right? I have that self-control. I'm ready to, I recognize that freedom doesn't come from throwing the manual out. It's following the manual seems like, why do I have to follow that? Because when you follow it, you have freedom. You get stuck when you don't follow it. So he's like, I want to, this is how I discipline myself. I live according to the Vedic directions. I use this time of day in a particular way. And I get that auspiciousness comes from that. She's like, let's throw the manual out right now. And here's my reasons. And now we're going to start to hear her reasons.
Okay. Now, you got to remember also, she approached her husband right after coming out of meditation.
He's in it, actually. He's trying to pull him out of it. Yeah.
Okay. Text 9. The sun was setting and the sage was sitting in trance after offering oblations to the personality of Godhead. In that place, the beautiful Diti expressed her desire. O learned one, Cupid is taking his arrows and distressing me forcibly as a mad elephant troubles a banana tree.
Okay. So that's the first one. It's just straight out lust, right? It's just like my senses are, my mind and senses are demanding this of me. So based on that, let's throw the manual out. I'm ready to go. Right.
Therefore, you should be kind towards me by showing me complete mercy. I desire to have sons, and I'm much distressed by seeing opulence of my co-wives. By performing this act, you will be happy. Okay.
So here's the second reason, right? The first one is just straight out lust. The second reason actually has to do with her jealousy. Or you could, her jealousy of her co-wives. They all have kids. Why don't I have one yet? Or you could say like a feeling of lack of esteem in the eyes of the co-wives, right?
By the way, we're not recommending co-wives here. If that's what some of you are thinking.
Yeah. Again, we're putting this in the context. He had at least 13 wives. I think he had 13 wives, all the daughters of Daksha, right? But again, the whole idea is they are these early progenitors. Yeah. And so, but again, let's just try to draw out the lessons here. She's like saying, let's live the yogic lifestyle, which involves self-discipline. She's saying, let's abandon self-discipline in the yogic lifestyle and act according to materialistic considerations. The first one is just my mind and senses are calling me to do this. The second one is I feel in the eyes of others less than others because of this material circumstance, right? They have kids, I don't. He's even like, just wait just a bit, but it's driving her to abandon dharma. Right, is her lack of self-esteem. And of course, yoga is always going to come down to this. Yoga is all about uncovering our true nature with the faith that my happiness lies within. And it doesn't matter how I'm seen in the eyes of others. There's no external consideration that my happiness is tied to, including the demand of my mind and senses, including how I'm seen in the eyes of others. I have that faith that whatever I need is I'm complete in myself. I just need, there's no incompleteness. She's feeling I'm incomplete, right? They have kids, I don't. I'm incomplete, right? And now in the next text we get to her third reason.
A woman is honored in this world by the benediction of her husband, and a husband like you will become famous by having children because you are meant for expansion of the living entities.
Okay. So
that's his job. He's a progenitor.
Yeah. So she's saying also, I want to be honored, right? Like when I have, children and those children go on to do great things and so on, I'll be honored,
Sure.
So
I mean, a lot of people want children for less than the most noble reasons.
Yeah.
They want it to fulfill something in them more than they want to give love to the kid.
Okay, yeah. So these are the points. She's coming forward. She's not even faking it like I'm a yogi or something like that. She's not trying to create some new philosophy or something like that, you know. She's being honest about it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, his point is let us not be controlled by these things. Let's do the right thing. You know, let's do the right thing. Let's have that faith. If we do the right thing, auspiciousness will come from it. It's going to involve sense control, but like you were saying earlier, like how did you describe it? You can feel the pain of a little
pain of discipline,
yeah,
or the pain of regret.
or the pain of regret. So that's his point. You know, I'd rather feel the pain of discipline than the pain of regret.
You know what she's also got? She's also got this like new sort of yoga philosophy thing that you hear in yoga circles is, you know, just follow your heart. Just like, all right, my heart's into it. Let's go with our heart. You got to be careful. Your heart is not just your lust, right? It's not necessarily your heart. It's your senses and your mind that are a little just pulling you in a certain way. And it's very easy to say, I'm just following my heart. It's my heart's deep desire. I can't, you know, you got to connect with your heart. Careful with that one.
Careful. Okay.
Careful.
Thank you for that warning.
In days long ago, our father, the most opulent Daksha, who was affectionate to his daughter, asked each of us separately whom he would prefer to select as our husband.
It's Arranged Marriage Tuesday around here.
Yeah. Our well-wishing father, Daksha, after knowing our intentions, handed over 13 of his daughters unto you.
So they chose him.
And since then, we have all been faithful.
Yeah, so she's saying, I chose you. You know, like, you know, I guess she's just trying to appeal to his emotion.
O lotus-eyed one, kindly bless me by fulfilling my desire. When someone in distress approaches a great person, his pleas should never go in vain. She's being very sweet and, you know,
yeah,
romantic.
but a little bit that's guilting him a little bit there too, right? Like, I'm in distress and you're not doing anything about it.
Right. Sort of emasculating, perhaps.
I don't think emasculating. I think.
Well, here he goes.
I guess
hero.
I guess you could
a
look
little bit.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to take care of me.
Yeah.
Oh, hero. Diti, thus being afflicted by contamination of lust.
No, this is hero. Now Vidura is the hero here.
Yeah. He's speaking to it. This is
Maitreya
speaking to
Vidura.
O Vidura, Diti being afflicted by the contamination of lust, and therefore poor and talkative, was pacified by Kashyapa in suitable words. Afflicted.
So now there's a shift in the chapter. And maybe we got to save it for tomorrow. It's a big topic, but we can read it. We can go back to it tomorrow. But the next few verses are going to be about. It's really Kashyapa glorifying the wife. You know, like the role of the wife. You know, in a marriage, or the value of a wife for a husband. Hit it.
Right.
Let's
Hit
hear
it. Okay.
Yeah.
O afflicted one, I shall forthwith. That's a word. I shall forthwith. I shall forthwith gratify. Forthwith gratify whatever desire is dear to you. For who else but you is the source of the three perfections of liberation?
Forthwith, I guess, means like I will very soon. Like,
okay,
it's coming. But
I'm going to start using that word.
Forthwith. You can use it with fortnight.
Yes. As one can cross over the ocean with a seagoing vessel, one can cross the dangerous situation in the material ocean by living with a wife.
Okay, why don't we hear the commentary on that one?
Okay. Please, moment. Here's the commentary. There are 4 social orders for cooperation in the endeavor for liberation from material existence. That's what I love about the Bhagavatam. Everything's put in perspective.
It's the manual.
Yeah. Why are we getting married anyway? Well, because we want to have some fun, or we want to have some kids, we want to raise a family. No, there's a reason why there's a marriage. Here's the reason. There are 4 social orders for cooperation in the This is it for the endeavor of liberation. That's why you're doing it, from material existence.
It's yoga.
That's the goal. This is where we're going. The endeavor for liberation from material existence. The orders of brahmacharya, or the pious student life, household life with a wife, retired life, and renounced life, all depends for successful advancement on the householder who lives with a wife.
Okay, so those are the 4 orders that were mentioned.
Mm.
First one was brahmacharya, pious student life. Second one was household life, and so that's married life. Third one is retired life, where the husband and wife are no longer engaged in working in the world. And then the 5th is renounced life, where the husband would go off, into the forest.
I like how they qualify student life with pious student life. It's not like Animal House student life. National Lampoon's Animal House. Okay. This Vedic Varnashram.
No, this cooperation.
I'm sorry. This cooperation is essential for the proper functioning of the institution of these 4 social orders and the 4 spiritual orders of life.
So what that sentence meant was the married life, that segment of life, it supports all the other ones. Right? This cooperation between husband and wife, is essential for the proper functioning of the institution of the 4 social orders, and all 4 spiritual orders of life. So there's something central to the married life, to that stage.
This Vedic Varnashram system is generally known as the caste system, is the purport speaking.
It's kind of warped form of it, but yeah.
The man who lives with a wife has a great responsibility maintaining the members of the other social orders, the brahmacharis, the vanaprasthas, and the sannyasis. Except for the grihastas, or the householders, everyone is supposed to engage in spiritual advancement of life, and therefore the brahmachari, the vanaprastha, and the sannyasi have very little time to earn a livelihood, and therefore they collect alms from the grihastas, and thus they secure the bare necessities of life and cultivate spiritual understanding. By helping the other 3 sections of society cultivate spiritual values, the householder also makes advancement in spiritual life. Ultimately, every member of society automatically becomes spiritually advanced and easily crosses the ocean of nescience. Love that word.
There's a lot to why don't we unpack this one tomorrow? Come back to this one tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow we'll hear a lot about marriage.
All right, good. I think maybe we should stop there and get our takeaways.
Takeaways, Mara?
Mara, you got a takeaway today, Mara? How are you, Mara? How are you?
Takeaway Tuesday.
I'm well, thanks. I do. I have a lot of takeaways, actually.
Right. Do you write these takeaway down, or do the people write them in and send them to you?
These ones I've written down, but a lot of the times the chat board helps me out a lot.
I think since we've done the takeaways, Mara, it's helped your attentiveness, I think.
I agree.
Right? Because she's got to be on, because she's going to get to the end of the show without a takeaway. We're going to be like, Mara.
It's true.
All right. What do you have, Prabhu?
Okay. Our pain is superfluous.
Our pain is superfluous. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a forearm tattoo. Go on.
The highest truth is distinguishing reality and uprooting the threefold miseries.
Yeah, you're taking the early verses and turning them to hashtags. Okay.
Yeah. Hashtag would be find the cause.
Find the cause.
Not the cure.
Mm-hmm.
Not the cure. Don't find the cure. Find the cause.
I mean, cure is fine too, but the cause is...
Find the cure. No, we don't want the cure.
We don't want the cure. But I've got it. We don't want it.
I will either be controlled by my senses or I will control them.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, if you say it the other way, I think it's more powerful. I will either control my senses or I will be controlled by them. Right? You got to throw that negative thing at the end.
You're right.
So.
Yeah.
It's true. There's the pain of discipline or the pain of regret.
Nice. That's a big one.
T-shirt.
Right I think that might be the title for today's show. Something about that.
Yeah. And freedom doesn't come through throwing out the manual.
Okay.
Freedom's a state of mind.
Oh.
Like that? Like that one? Hashtag that. Man, that's a mug.
I mentioned you one more time that people can now sign up for the Sage page by going to wisdomofthesages.com. Sage page will be our weekly newsletter with takeaways and little nuggets from the previous week and announcements and so on and so forth.
Takeaways are great too, Kaustubha. You know why? Because if you're a yoga teacher, you got some like material to work with. You can expand from. You can tease out. You can go back and listen to that
if you're
show.
A mother, if you're a father, if you're a friend, everybody needs these takeaways, right?
Just yoga teachers need it.
Okay.
Yoga teachers need these takeaways. Yeah, everybody. All right, great. What Ooh, all right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. It's good to be back. Sweet Baby Krishna tomorrow. Bhakti Recovery, Over the Top. And special guest this Sunday. Radhacharan Prabhu, right?
Not Radhacharan, Chaitanya Charan.
Chaitanya Charan, I'm sorry.
spiritual
Chaitanya Charan,
giant.
one of our favorite brahmacharis out there. People
We're
love
bringing
him
back one of the great philosophers of our time.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for joining us on Zoom. Hey, if you want to join us on Zoom, if you're one of those others floating out there in outer space and want to join our little Zoom family, we've got a community for you. Write to Mara at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. Everybody signs up for Zoom, gets a free vegan meatball directly FedEx to their house from Mara.
It's a little messy, but
it's a gesture of love. And remember out there, go to your Apple Podcast. Everybody's writing this down. Everybody's writing their stories about how they got to Bhakti. So you go to Apple Podcast and write a review. Give us 5 stars and write your little story about how you got here. Sharing your reviews with us helps our rankings there in Apple Podcasts. So do it. If you haven't done that, you got to do that right now. We all want to hear your story. Your story is important, and it helps us on our path, on our journey. If you like something from the show today, write it down, take a little photo of it, share it, tag us. We'll retag you, and let's spread this information all over the world. That's what this is about. Finding some solid information, trying to apply it to your life, sharing it with people you love. We learn it. We live it. We give it. That's our motto. Now we dance it. We dance with it.